Welcome to our weekly news media platform talk show. Today is July 17, 2022. Today we're going to be discussing about corruption and lack of patriotism with our citizens, and also how to build a new inclusive Gambia. I'm here, your host, Mohamed Sawani from New York, and I have my partner, my co-host, Sam Cisse from Indiana. Welcome, Sam. Our other panelists are not able to join now, but hopefully before the show ends, they will join. So feel free to contact us for comments and any feedback or questions. Thank you. Welcome, Sam.
Thank you, Mr. Swanee. Thank you. So, yeah, today I'm in my car again, and as like I said, my son has a basketball game, so I brought him to his game, and wanted to still take this opportunity and get on here before the game starts. So hopefully we can get this done soon, and I can get in and get to watch him a little bit in play. So yeah, these are very important topics that we have. Definitely is is corruption is something that we can never finish talking. A lot of people have talked about corruption. I have talked about corruption so many times, and I've released a lot of audios on corruption. And Gambia is still corrupt, very corrupt. Our government is corrupt. Our country is very corrupt, and corruption is really the number one issue in Gambia. And for us to be able to have a good country and have the rule of law to prevail and have things going the right direction, be able to sustain our own country without taking a lot of loans, we've got to kill corruption. That's the way it needs to be. It needs to be really hitting the nail in the head. But it all starts from the top. Like I always say in everything I said about corruption, it has to start from the top. And there's only one person that can put his foot down and stop corruption, and that's the president. The president is the only one, because anybody else, you and I cannot stop the corruption. We can say as many things as we want. We can say as much as we want. Anybody on any talk show can say anything they want. Anybody in the government can say anything they want. Nothing can stop it. The only person that has the authority, that has the power to stop it, is the president. And because anybody else that gets out to try to do anything, they will eliminate you. And the bad guys that are fully into corruption or fully corrupted will play their games and go to the president and say, so and so is doing this. What this person is doing or what he's saying, don't take it. They're going to mastermind him. They're going to talk to him in his ears to stop what this person is trying to do. So that's why I said there's only one person that can stop corruption, is the president. And if I put myself in his shoes, there's a lot of things that the president can do, and nobody can get rid of him. You see? Yeah, nobody can get rid of the president like that. So he is the one that has the power to stop corruption by, number one, starting with himself. He has to hold himself accountable and avoid any corrective activity and avoid anything that is considered a conflict of interest, whether they are friends, family members, people that he knows. Nobody. Treat everyone the same way and hold everyone accountable. If the president start doing that, but not only that, but you have to have the know-how to do certain things. If you don't have the know-how, get the people that know how, surround yourself with them to lead you and help you and guide you and advise you how to tackle something. So because there are certain things that need to be done in any country. If you really, and I know corruption is rampant in Africa, we all know that, everybody says the same thing, but there are 5 key ingredients to corruption that I've always talked about. 5 key ingredients, and to be able to stop the corruption, you really have to follow those 5 ingredients and bring them to an end for you to be able to start handling corruption. And one of those is to end impunity. You have to end impunity by holding people accountable. And somebody does anything wrong, arrest them. Yeah. Arrest them, prosecute, and imprison them. Do not forgive anybody, because this is the country's fund. This is Gambia's money that they are manipulating. Gambia's money. We have very poor people that are paying taxes, and you have certain individuals that are taking that money. Very wrong. You should never forgive anybody for doing that. So anybody that takes our money, you've got to hold them accountable and end that impunity by making sure they face justice, go to court, arrest them, take them to court, prosecute, and imprison them. Or not only that, but make them pay it. If you have to sell their properties, sell everything they have and pay that money back, because it belongs to Gambia. So that's one. Um, the other part is, and this is in random order, but the other part is reform the administrative and financial management system. Very important. If you don't reform the financial management system, just like I said in the past, you've got to take cash out of people's hands. Let everything be electronic funds transfer. Everything be done through bank transactions. No cash in people's hands if you can do that, or limit the cash in people's hands. In some areas, certain things should be no cash in people's hands. If we do that, um, that will really help. People are taking money because they have access to it. Just think about it. If you allow someone to have access to money, money comes through their hands. They have access. They control everything. Well, they can take anything and forge the numbers. So
Exactly.
that's what they can do. But if you take the money out of their hands, nothing goes through their hands. They cannot access it. The chances are they cannot touch it. They cannot take it, because anything that's got to be paid for is got to be paid in the bank account of the government, in every department, every ministry. If it goes that way, now that eliminates the possibility of anybody taking a dime out of it. Now, once it gets to the bank, this is part of managing, changing the financial or reforming the financial management system. Everything has to be accounted for and reconciled. If we do a reconciliation, there is not going to be every
Mm.
single dime will be accounted for. Yeah, so that's what the financial management system need to be. Um, and the third one I would say is to promote transparency. Everything that we do with financial management system needs to be transparent. Get the financial statements out. Let people see it, but also talk to the people, the taxpayers. Let's tell them what our money is, what are we spending on what, and things like that. Not only that, open the doors for anyone to come and investigate and really see where our money is. We need to know where our money is. If we get a $10 million loan, for example, or $10 million grant for something, Gambians deserve the right to know where that money is going. They deserve the right. We need to know what that money is, where it's done, and the National Assembly need to be able to hold the government accountable by bringing them to the National Assembly to tell them where the money is. What are they spending the money on? We need to know that. And after, when they spend the money, they need to bring the statement to prove what the money was spent on, so that
Right.
we can all know that no money went into somebody's pocket. But I said this one time in one of my talks, and I said, it looks like when Gambia have funds from somewhere, the moment they know funds are coming, not everybody, I'm going to say this very clear, loud and clear, not everyone, but there are certain individuals in the government that acts like vultures. When vultures see a dead meat, a dead body, a dead animal in the woods, in the bush, they all want to come in and jump in and land on that meat and then chop something out of it. That's what they do. So when funds start to come to Gambia, there are certain individuals that wants to have access to that money, and they want to get their part out of it. That money is not for them, it's for the country. This is why our country is not developed. This is where we still, I always say this, Gambia is 57 years old, and that's how far behind. We have 57 years behind time, only because of corruption. So we need to do that. The other part is, you know, um, number four is to empower the citizens to hold the government accountable. That's all part of bringing transparency. Empower the citizens. Yes, we have freedom of speech, freedom of right, freedom of information. Well, let's make sure that the citizens do have 100% freedom of that information. And nobody tried to hide anything from the citizens. The social media and the media need to know. Investigative journalism need to be able to get into offices and investigate and see where our funds are. They need to have the truth and nothing but the truth. But in Gambia, we want to put everything on paper when we should go from pen and paper to electronic. We put everything on paper. Those who are corrupt don't want electronic because they don't have access to anything. They will not have any access. And not only that, they want to be able to rip off the papers and throw away, hide the papers, or set the place on fire and burn the whole place. So we can say, oh, everything is gone, all the records are gone. Well, it should be electronically kept so that that data is getting backed up somewhere. Even if the whole building goes down, well, that information is still available. That's where we need to go so that citizens can have access to their information. And last but not the least, on the 5 key things that I said is closing the international loopholes. Very, very important for the government, the president, to be part of this and be the leader in this. Close international loopholes. Do not allow any government officials to do certain things internationally. They cannot take our funds and open bank accounts internationally. They should not take our funds if the minute, I don't know how much is the minister's salary, but let's say 75,000, even if it's 100,000 a year, sorry, a month. Look at that and also understand that that person cannot go and buy a multi-million-dollar house in America or build a multi-million-dollar home in Senegal or anywhere in the Gambia. If they can't afford it, they shouldn't have that. If they have that, where did they get that money from? That means there's corruption in place. So we need to close all international loopholes. So all these ministers are not building homes in Senegal, which is currently happening. From what I've heard from social media, we know there are some of them that have built mansions in Senegal, in Dakar, or Senegal in general, and some are building it in Gambia. When you know that their monthly salary, annual income does not warrant that. Even if you put their travel allowances on that, there's no way they can do that because they have to feed their families. They have things that they need to do. There's no way they can do that. So where did that money come from? This is all corruption. That's why international loopholes need to be closed. So no government official can do anything outside of the country. They cannot embezzle our funds. They cannot go open bank accounts. They cannot do anything. Everything should be there in Gambia and create that transparency. I think it will help us start curbing corruption. Then we get into the details.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Well stated. Thank you so much for that, Sam.
Sure.
That insight. You have highlighted certain things here that are very important. So we're gonna go ahead and try to debate on this because we talk about corruption every day. Okay, we talk about corruption from the top. We talk about corruption within ourselves as well. But don't you think corruption is something that we all have to come together to fight? Or do you think corruption is all about the top? Because if any leader that comes in power, we have hope for, starting from from Jawara. We had high hope for Jawara, right? We say he's a nice guy. He came from the urban area. He understands the issues. And all that. But we say he's a very decent person. And now, once he came to the office, not only did Jawara was involved in corruption, but it appears that his people are even more involved. So if you can tell me that as a leader, you're not that corrupt, right? You're not up to there, but your people around you are corrupt. What do you call that? If you can stop them, then that means you are entertaining them. So, in corruption is an issue, but it's people's issue too. Don't you think that it's not all about the leader? We need to look at things say in order to mitigate this, in order to control our community, in order to control this in our country, the damages that is doing. don't we have to be a national movement? Don't we have to have this taught in school? Even have a curriculum about it, how to be patriotic. Because the reason why we are not we are corrupt is because we don't love our country. We love ourselves individually, but not our country. We love our pockets. We love to drive nice cars. We love to have houses, compete for houses, have good wives, good children. But we don't look at the country as a whole. We don't care how much road we have. How much traffic problem we have. We don't care how many people are dying in the hospital. Collectively, individually we might. Collectively, we don't. So I think what I'm asking is, don't you think that corruption is something that not only within the government or the people in power, but also within our citizenry? We need to have maybe a national dialogue, maybe kind of look at corruption from different ways. I know the government has a lot that they can do on their end. I know that in terms of punishment, is sending people to jail, having to put some, supervision somewhere, making sure we have paperless transactions, paper transactions instead of, cash transactions. I know there's a lot of things that the government can do, but the attitude, people who are corrupt and building big things are considered, considered like Itole Barakata. Those who are not doing that will why don't you think the attitude, our attitude and the way we see things and what we are proud of has something to do with it? I will let you come in.
Yeah. So you've said quite a bit in here. There was.
I'm loaded. I loaded the gun. Yeah.
I know corruption is. That's why I said corruption. We could never finish talking about corruption. There's quite a bit in here, but I'm going to start with President Jawara's area. You said President Jawara. President Jawara was a great leader. He was a great leader, and I respect him very well.
But his administration was corrupt.
Yeah, but yeah, I'm coming. He was a great leader. So, but being a great leader, there are certain things that he lacked. What that was is there are certain things that he lacked, just like everybody else. There's no one that's perfect. No one is going to be perfect in this world. As a leader, there are certain things that you need to really focus on, and part of leadership skills, holding yourself accountable and holding other people accountable, creating that environment, very, very important. What President Jawara did, if you look at it after his office, what does he have? He doesn't have anything. He did not have anything. He didn't have a bunch of properties all over, a bunch of cars all over the place, a bunch of bank accounts all over the place. He controlled himself, but failed to really control his people. So is that not a fail?
Is that not a fail in leadership?
That is a part of the failure that he had as part of some of the leadership skills, holding people accountable. So he did not do a very good job in that part. He was a great leader. Don't get me wrong. Like I started, he was a great leader. He just couldn't hold his people accountable. The people that he held accountable there are certain times he saw people do something, or he knows something went wrong, or the minister did something wrong, he will terminate them. He will get them out. He has done that part. But when I say hold people accountable is just like what I do at work, what I've done at work in the past. You're responsible for something, and something is missing. What is missing? I want to know what that is. How did it get missing? Who took what? I'm going to follow it to the root. I'm going to account for everything. I want to reconcile, and I want to recover that as well. You see, recovering that money, bring it back. Terminating somebody is not the end. That's not the end. I want to get the money back. Yeah, I don't want to terminate someone and let you go because you did something wrong. No, the money that you took does not belong to you, does not belong to me. It belongs to the state. I want to go after that money. I'm going to go find it where it was put in and try and recover that money, bring it back. If you don't have the money because you spent it all, you built a mansion, I'm going to take that mansion and sell it.
Sam, we're not talking about, recovery. What we're talking about here
Yeah. No, I'm not there yet. I'm coming. I want to start at this point and then move on to the rest of your question. You know, is so there is a part that the leadership need to play. There is a part that individuals need to play. But take it this way: if you built an office building, all right, and say this is your company, and you gave everybody access, you hire people and put them in there. You gave them access to do everything. All right. Anything that happened, it'll be your responsibility because you gave them the access. But if I build an office building and create jobs for people and limit what you can do by putting a financial structure in place, by putting something called SOP, standard operating procedure, in place that you cannot bypass, you cannot go up and you cannot do anything other than doing that standard operating procedure. And I took away options for you to spend money. I took away options for you to have access to money. Guess what? Your destruction in that place will be very limited because I closed all the gaps. I closed all the loopholes so that you cannot take any money. All you can do is do your job. So the government need to do that. Yes, corruption is everywhere. I will come down to individuals, to all of us, individuals. There's a lot of things that happen in town because we created that environment for us. That's why I said the government need to have that SOP, standard operating procedure. We need to have good laws that will help them hold everyone accountable and also reconcile. Because if you don't do that, this is where you give people the freedom to do stuff. And then people want to get in there and have access to funds and use that. If you come and you want to do anything different, they say you don't want anything, or you are jealous of what we are getting. That's what they think. Well, it's not about jealousy. It's not about anything else. It's about accountability. It's about truthfulness, being truthful and honesty to your country. So that's why that honesty, the integrity and trustworthiness of people is very important from the top going down. That way, you won't go to a place and have to pay for something to do, pay somebody to do something. You will not have to bribe because we don't have those standard operating procedures. We don't have the real.
It's one thing to have a procedure, but it's another thing to execute it.
Yep,
You can have any paper that you want. You put it on my desk, gee, I mean, I turn around, am I going to execute it or not?
Yep, so that's my next topic. The next part is we don't have the law enforcement, proper law enforcement of our policies. This is the key, because if you catch an employee or a minister or a director embezzle funds, you just terminate them or you transfer them, make them an ambassador. You're not solving the problem. You're transferring a problem from one place to another. That's what that is. In America, in my job, I've been in the same industry since, I don't know, about over 20 years now, in the same industry. I have done quite a bit. I've done a lot. I have arrested people that stole $100. I have arrested people that stole a carton of cigarettes. I have arrested people that took some stuff that don't belong to them. If you hold people accountable by doing the right thing and enforcing what the policies are, I call the police and have them arrest someone that stole money less than $100. You know why? Because I want to set the example that stealing money is not acceptable.
It's not okay. No,
it's not okay. So yes. And then I followed through the police to get that money recovered and bring it back. Then yes. On top of that, that person faced justice for stealing that money. This is how you do it.
Yes, but then the problem that we always have, maslaha. You know that, I know that.
Yes.
This
yes.
First we have two threats to deal with. The threats is we are all mubadi killing. That is one thing. Second, religion.
Well, mola kodole, so I cannot do Alanikila mola kodole.
So the thing is, yep. We know each other too much. I mean, too well,
yep.
And we feel empathic to each other so well we don't want to follow the rules, the standard procedure or the punishment behind. So ni manikol ko ni fanko ni nyama ni malta nyala ni buka ko busuno.
Right, that's
you
right.
Cannot, you cannot this is our problem. So we have already some challenges there. So what I'm trying to tell you is that to fight corruption, these procedures that you have in place are papers. They need to be executed, but then in the form of execution, we look at in each other's eye. I will not apply it on him. So these are all challenges.
Yeah.
So not allow, the Muslim world to be So all these things contribute to our issue of not being effective in in punishing, deterring, corruption by making it punishable. Do you remember when President of Sierra Leone came to the Gambia and asked President Barrow about corruption to punish corruption punishable? He said we haven't got there yet. We are different from Sierra Leone. So the thing is that that is the same maslaha issue that I'm trying to state here. So your approach and the new ideas are great, in terms of having it on paper, but does that mean we can execute?
No. So yeah, the thing is, that's why I said the reform of the financial management system. I'll give you an example. If right now you ship a container to Gambia to the Port Authority, and the container, let's say it's a 40-foot container. If the 40-foot container is, I'm just gonna guess, is 100,000 that you need to pay to get it out. Example. All right. If I have a system in place where there's no way you can get that container out without paying that money at the bank. That money, even a dime, a button of it is not going into somebody's hand. The only way to get your container out is to go to the bank. You pay your $100,000. They give you a receipt. You go with that receipt to Port Authority and say, I have paid. They take your receipt, photocopy, and give you the copy. Your container is out. No more payment. So number one, I took the access away from that person that is collecting that money from the Port Authority to do anything with that money, because I completely eliminated the access. These are the systems that you put in place so that people don't have access to it. That way, there is no maslaha there. There is nothing like 75,000. Well, 50,000. There is no way that's going to happen. It has to be paid first at the bank, not in anybody's hands. So that took away the cash from people's hands.
Yeah. That is gonna. Cash from people's hand will work.
Yep.
Now
that is the procedure you put in many other things like that, from the government all the way down to local government.
But there are many things that in the Gambia right now, you cannot take cash from people's hand. Okay.
Yep. And I had a solution for that.
There is no credit card, massive credit card.
I had a solution for that too. When I said this in all of my audios, I said, yes, there are certain things you can collect cash for. And that cash also will be accountable. And I told you, I said this before, and I'm going to tell you, that's where it comes in the standard operating procedure. The standard operating procedure, SOP, if the government makes a policy and say anything over $500 has to be paid at the bank, no matter who you're paying. Area council, you're paying your LUMPO, you're paying anything, any custom duty, you're paying anything to the government, anything over 500 need to be paid at the bank. I'm just giving an example. I'm not saying they need to do it 500. They can go 300. All right. So when they do that, so all the large funds will be paid at the bank directly into the government bank account. So anything less than that, yes, 500 or less, you can pay cash. When you go to pay cash, also that place also you have to install cash registers. So everything is done through electronically. It has to be run in the cash register. That cash register has reports. When the person running there, and number one, you don't want to have one person running a ship. I made all these clear. You have different people working different shifts. One person comes in from 7 a.m. till 3 o'clock, you get out and go home. Next person come in at 3 o'clock, they're there till 11. That's it. All right. So for example, if it needs third shift, you can bring us another person in from 11 till 7 in the morning. But every one of them at the end of their shift, they have to reconcile that cash. They need to close their register, count the cash down, reconcile, print a report, says this is how much you collected. Here is how much I deposited in the safe. When the manager comes the next morning, he is going to look at first shift, second shift, third shift. First shift deposited 20,000, all 500 or less. Second shift deposited let's say 9,000. Third shift only did 7,000. All right. So the 20,000, 9,000, and 7,000, that manager should be able to reconcile and see that nothing is missing there. Make a deposit slip for that amount and take it to the bank. When supervisors come to audit them, and that bank statement, that bank deposit slip is there in their records, the reconciliation department will be able to pull the bank records for the month of January, for example. You can say in the month of January, Port Authority, this is how many deposits they made. They made 25 deposits, and all 25 deposits are here.
Yeah.
And that equals the 25 deposits equals to $3 million, for example. The bank has $3 million. Nothing is missing. That's how you reconcile.
Right.
Period.
So
you take away everything from people's hands.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's one thing. Like I said, if we put a system in place, and I also talked about the restructuring of I made a video on Facebook called Comprehensive Civil Service Reform, because I know in order to stop corruption, we need to look at the cost of living. We need to initiate what I call the minimum wage for people to be paid a certain amount of money. They need to be able to afford a cost of living. All right. So the government need to do all of that so people get paid enough to be able to afford the living.
So question
then
here.
Take away everything out of their hands.
Yeah, question here. Where are you gonna get? How can government go about having people have enough money in their pocket to pay for their living? Their living and medical. How is that? How are you gonna get funds?
How is that going to work is it's just like in America. The government has not provided everybody enough money to live with, to live in. There is a baseline. This is all part of standard operating procedure. They are going to do the survey. They're going to do the survey and look at what is the average cost of a house in Gambia. Yeah. What is the average cost of this, and determine how much money can we afford as a government also. Because you can't pay people what you can't afford.
The question here is that this is the reason why this is challenging. Government come with a minimum wage in the Gambia. Businesses that are not supported by the government, they are not funded by the government, and people starting their own business cannot afford to pay that minimum wage.
Now the thing is, the thing is, a law is a law, just like in America.
If you tell me, I have a store and my store is not even generating $3,000, $4,000 a month, and you tell me the minimum wage is supposed to be $2,000 or $1,000 every employees, and I have an employee or two, how am I gonna pay them minimum wage?
Well, that means
that I cannot conduct business in Gambia.
No, so let me finish one thing I wanted to say first, then I'll get into that. But or maybe I can answer that first. What that means is if you're a business that's not generating enough money to pay an employee, you do not need to have an employee. You need to run the business yourself. But you do not need to have an employee.
Myself, how can I go?
Well, then you should not open a business. If you can't pay people and you want people to work for you,
but
you
if there's no employment, why wouldn't I have the right to open a business of my own?
You can open a business. Anybody that opens a business is looking for profit, right? You need to be able to generate enough margin, enough profit to be able to pay your employees and all your bills. If you can't afford to do that, it's just like a business that have one employee or two employees compared to a business that have 100 employees. All right. The business that has 2 employees cannot afford to have 100 employees because their business volume is not big enough for them to do that. The businesses grow as they go. When you open a business, you start yourself. You go sit there and do your thing. When you start to build that income and that volume and revenue to a point where you can hire someone, that's when you hire someone. But you know what? The law is the law. In America, there's a minimum wage. When there's a minimum wage as a law,
somebody commented that they gotta stop you mentioning standard operating system procedure.
they want me to stop saying that because it's not happening in Gambia. Yes, that's fine. Standard operating procedure is a good procedure to have. Is everything has to have a standard. So, but anyway, going back to the law is the law. In America, there is a minimum wage that's imposed in every state. There is a federal minimum wage, and there's states took their own and made their own minimum wage as well, right? They can go above the federal minimum wage. They just cannot pay less than the federal minimum wage. That's how it works. Now, number two, when the federal government impose laws, all contractors, all businesses become what they call federal contractors. As a federal contractor, you abide by the federal laws. All right. So you have to be able to do that. So a law is a law. Law does not favor some and not favor others. Is a standard operating procedure, just like that is a law everyone must abide by. So if we have a standard, a minimum wage in Gambia, that's why I said it takes time. The government need to study. But we're 57 years old, man. Gambia is 57 years old. We need to get all of these done a long time ago to impose minimum wage in a country where people can earn a living. It doesn't need to pay people too much money.
Yes.
It's just amount that is considered the minimum wage that the country can afford, that all businesses, whether you're an Indian business or Lebanese business or any business.
It sounds good to have people deserve a minimum wage that's livable. However, realistically, if you want to apply that, many businesses will not be able to do that. Because why?
Well,
their revenues are so small and people are struggling. You know, there's no support. There's no support. There's no loan given to these people.
Yep. Well, if you're doing a business to take a loan to pay people, you're in the wrong business. You should not be taking loans to pay your people. The loan is to really invest into a business.
But a lot of people, even in the West, are taking loans.
They take loans, yes, but that loan is not to pay. Is not to pay employees. You invest the loan into the business part of to be able to,
like let's say
to be able to.
You are doing a business for you know, like you plan a business, right? You take loan, so you can also be able to, you know, fix the place and kind of like, you know, find a way how to, you know, run the business. A part of the loan. I mean, loan can be anything. So I've seen people who have taken loans. From the loan, they started, you know, doing anything possible.
Yeah. There's nothing wrong with taking loans. People can take loans, and government, even the government take loans. Contractors can take loans. Companies can take loans, yes, and they reinvest that loan into their business.
Exactly.
But if you just, but what I'm saying is, if you go to the bank to take a loan because you need to pay your people, that's not a good practice, because you're gonna pay all of it to your people, and then your business go back to square one again. So, so people, you know, Gambia. Unfortunately, people get into business not knowing how to run a business. There's a lot of people in there that are in business not knowing how business runs. So that civic education should be something that the government can help. You know, maybe create seminars for people that want to get into business, young entrepreneurs, and help them get into business, but be profitable business. You don't want to get into business to end up running your business down the drain. That's not good for anybody. But at the end of the day, we need to have certain standards in our country if we want to stop corruption. Yes, I can guarantee you this. There's enough resource in our country for Gambia to, Gambia has enough resource and enough funds, enough revenue that is being generated in our country to be able to pay everything, to be able to give a minimum wage to all the workers, the nurses, the doctors, the police officers, law enforcement officers, you know, our teachers. You know, you look at all of this, they need to be well paid, and they're not. The government has the money. You know why they're not doing it? Because the money is going into some people's pocket as part of corruption. That's why if they do all of these to stop corruption, we're going to have a lot of money in our hands. That Gambia is such a small country. Think
So,
about what can
what
happen.
should be the first step?
Well, the first step starts with the president, and unfortunately, it should have started. This should be a mindset. That's why sometimes politics is ideology. The ideology that you have as a politician, what is the vision you have for the country? So when you come in, you look at the vision that you have for the country. What is your ideology? How are you going to run this country? So all of those are things that you think about before you get in there, so that when you get there, you start day one. Day one, start with yourself and run down. You start with yourself. You're going to hold yourself. You're going to declare your assets. You're going to do everything you need to do to be transparent. And anyone that you hire needs to do the same thing.
Do you connect corruption with lack of patriotism?
Connection is, I will not connect them. There are very patriotic Gambians that are in the country. They're working, but they can't afford a living. And they're forced to steal.
Those who are corrupt, do you think they are patriotic?
I think so. I think they are patriotic. It's just that they are selfish. Being selfish, they think about themselves and not the country. They think about.
So is that patriotism though?
It's you can look at it in either way. You can look at it. You can say it's not patriotism if you're going to use our funds and invest it on yourself. That's not patriotism. But you can look at it as this: is they inherited corruption in the country. They don't have any choice but to come in and try to live like everybody else. But some will go overboard by overspending and really embezzling our funds and taking our funds, or misappropriation of funds in our country to be able to satisfy their personal needs and forget the country. And this is what needs to stop.
Do you think our leaders are patriotic?
I would say some leaders are. Yes, they are. They are.
Who are those? Who are not?
Well, I because I don't know them all, I can't tell you who are those and who are not. But from what I've seen and from my own analysis, is again, they are working with what they found in place. And they could be patriotic people, but this is business as usual in Gambia. We need to change that mindset from business as usual to real business by holding ourselves accountable. If you're patriotic, you need to hold yourself accountable, but you need to see your country first.
But then when these leaders are coming, when they are coming in power, we thought that they are patriotic. That's why we put them in power. What changed?
Well, we thought they are, but we don't know. We did not know for sure. So that's what it is. You think something is going to do this, but you don't know for sure until they get in there. When they get in there,
how would we, moving forward, how would we know?
How would we know? Well, we look at,
if we can put some there and then still
right.
Still
right.
You
look at their operation. Yeah, look at their operation, look at their management style, look at their leadership style. If they can fulfill those and steer the country in the right direction, we can say yes.
Barrow was a successful real estate person. I mean, had a good management style. So what changed?
Well, Gambian management style, I'll put it that way, the Gambian management style, but not the real management style, because the real management style, if he knows that and he practiced that and he used that, he would use the same thing in the country or similar. He will have, there are skills that are transferable. You can learn a skill in one area and that skill is good for that area, but there are certain skills that you learn in one area that are transferable. If you go to a different area, that same skill comes with you. Leadership skills should come with you. Customer service skills should come with you no matter where you are, whether you work in a hospital or you're a police officer. Service is service. You know what I mean? Yeah. So those are the skills that he doesn't have, and to get him to really run the country the way it needs to be. That's the way I look at it. He doesn't have it, and unfortunately, he did not surround himself with those advisors that are going to advise him to do that, to do the right thing. Those advisors are there. He appointed them in political advisors and advisors that are going to be after his interest, not after the state interest. And there's a difference. You see, that's the difference. There's a big difference. If you appoint as a president, you appoint a political advisor to stand and help you win elections and win things, their focus is going to be that. No matter what happened, no matter even if the whole Port Authority is burning down with fire, they don't care. They don't know anything about that. They don't want to get into that. They want to help you support and get you to win. That's their goal. So they are not people that are going to help our country.
Okay. So you
Yep.
in all honesty, our country, the New Gambia, what are the promise for New Gambia?
What are the promise for New Gambia?
Yeah. Do we
Well,
have what how can we achieve the New Gambia that we fought for, we dream about, with all these things happening?
It all starts with the leader. Like I said from the beginning, all of that starts with the leader. If we don't have the right leader that is going to be able to do that, it's not going to work until we have that right leader. So that's why I am in for the draft constitution to be passed with the 2-term limit, so that when we have a leader, someone we thought that is going to do a great job, and we put them in there and end up not doing a great job, we will have the right to get them out through the first election. After 5 years, that person can go. If not, second year, they can't even run after second years.
Is Gambia prepared to look at that? Because the reason why people get tired of him, that's why they voted him out, because he get tired of him killing everybody that he could.
Yeah, that's why the 2-term limit.
If the killing is not there, like Barrow administration, Barrow is doing, there's propaganda that we are peaceful now, we have democracy, we have stuff like that. With that, do you think Gambians are there yet to be matured enough to decide and say, yeah, this man is not where we need him to take us. Let's vote him down. Especially if he's using financial muscles to mold these people. Do you think
That's why
we can ever get out of that?
Well, we can get out of it if we all in our communities hold our National Assembly members accountable to do their job and say we want a 2-term limit in our constitution. You work on that, no matter what it takes. Let's get it done. Put a 2-term limit. That way, if we have a president that's overdoing things, if we have a president that's not capable of running a country, they cannot go past two terms. At the end of the second term, they're gone.
This 2-term limit, we've seen it in Africa. Alpha Conde did it. They go back and they do a referendum. We have some people sign some stuff, change the constitution. Why don't you think even if the Gambian, National Assembly put 2-term limit, why do you think President Barrow would not go ahead and then do the same thing to make it the 3rd term?
Where are we going after?
Oh, well, what can stop him? Africans are doing it. Africans are doing it everywhere.
It's over?
We're putting in.
When?
3.
3, 4. Sorry. Okay.
We just have to sit 2 games, so there's no point.
Okay.
So sorry about that. So yeah, is the 2-term limit is very, very important. That is the future of the country. And yes, like you said, you mentioned Alpha Conde. Alpha Conde went and did that. This is the greed that we see in African leaders. They get into the office of the president and they don't want to get out. We need to force them out by putting the law in place. And we all need to say, this is where the civil education takes place. From the VDC levels in our local communities, all of that going up to educate people. Yeah. No matter who comes in, let's not change our constitution to have one person in there. That one person is not the best person in the country. That one person is not going to serve the best interest of the country. Even if they do, we need to get to a point where we change them. We cannot have the same person in there forever. This is what made us stay where we are. This is why Gambia is 57 years old and we're 57 years behind time. So we need to get this in people's head so that constitution doesn't get changed. And in fact, that law should be, and I think it is, an entrenched clause law. Entrenched clause law meaning is the law that the National Assembly cannot change on their own. They have to vote for it, get at least the a two-third majority of it for it first,
But
then take it to referendum.
yeah, but this is the thing. You are so optimistic about National Assembly, right? But this the same National Assembly being molded, been out-muscled, been financially out-muscled by the current leader, and end up getting the constitution not being passed. So what do you think would happen if this person wanted to continue to the third term, by not muscling these people again and giving them some money, some incentive to make sure that part of the constitution that will bar him from continuing again doesn't happen. This is a country where money talks, right? People are poor. Money talks everywhere, but Gambia, money talks because people are poor. They are they're talking about their instant gratification, instant satisfaction. They don't have a bag of rice, they don't have anywhere to go. What give me this and I be quiet. Or I don't have to say anything. You and I can say anything we want because we probably we're not like that. So you have to understand the circumstances that our people are in. They have been out muscle. They have been in a situation that forced them to take stuff. And they've put the power that they have, is gone. Because why? Because they don't have any power to do anything. So I think this has to, in order to fight corruption, this kind of changes, it has to come from the citizen itself, from people like young folks like yourself and others from the grassroots level. They had to make their parents accountable. They had to stand up to the power and speak to the power by building consciousness. Because let me tell you something. We have seen a lot of young folks now, hopeless, wandering around the street. The politicians will come and tell them anything by their votes. These people will run after the politician until the trucks will hit them. They have brains, they are young, but they are not conscious. They don't know what is their future is. They don't have a stand. In order to get those people to that level, that's not gonna be now. We are doing this civil education here for how many years now? But guess what happened? How is it beneficial to these people?
Well,
the question, so now National Assembly can make any laws they want. The president can come back and go, just like Jammeh did, trying to change the laws, whatever, the constitution, whatever he wants, because he's going to use the same system, buying these leaders, buying this, National Assembly folks, especially now he has about, 18 or 19? Buy the opposition. And guess what happened? Put certain clause there. Yeah, we're going to have a constitution, but we're going to favor him. So in order for that not to happen, conscious Gambians who are who refuse to be bought, who rather be patriotic, cannot be said by mouth. It has to be said, put in action. They have to come together and hold their people accountable and say, yes, this is what we want. We must have a referendum making sure that 2 terms stays. We not going on the street, doing anything illegal. But people have to rise up positively, mentally, to fight this. Otherwise, what are you saying? You and I will sit here. If we live that long, we will sit here and it will happen again, because power is sweet. Our African leaders, they are overwhelmed with power because of the privilege that comes with it. They don't want that to stop until they die.
Yeah, so, and Africa cannot afford that.
Exactly.
That's why Africa is behind.
At this point, the only way Gambia can be saved, there is, let's say, ECOWAS put in the law and say, whoever passed 2 years, 2 terms, we're gonna come with the military and swipe you out. But they themselves they haven't come to that agreement. If ECOWAS or international body says that, then I can believe our president will not pass. Unless and until that is not happening.
Well, even though that's not in the laws, and I don't think they're gonna put that in the laws that if a president passed 2 term limits, military go after him. I don't think that will be in the law, but that is exactly what we are seeing in other African countries where they have coup d'état.
No. I'm not saying
People
coup
go
d'etat.
past their
What
thing.
ECOWAS can
No,
do,
I
I'm not saying
understand.
coup d'etat.
Right.
But ECOWAS
But
can
to get them
do
out, to force them out.
and say that any country that we have under ECOWAS, you are a leader, you pass 2 years, we're gonna send ECOWAS forces to take you out. That's not a coup d'etat.
Yeah. I mean, every state is
So
independent.
that way everybody knows that this 2 term must be respected. That's the only way that our Africans will do it.
So yeah, we need to look at our country before we look at Africa. Our country really, we need to get down to the bottom of civic education and educating our people. Now, and when I say that is when it comes to this law, the 2 term limit has been on. It's been said before. It was in the draft constitution, and I think it need to be honored. We need to have the 2 term limit there, just like all the other countries that have the 2 term limit, and they honor them. The best presidents in the world served their 2 terms and they left, and those countries are still running. All right, so we cannot say there's
Gambia is not there yet.
Yeah, no. So where this need to come is really, we need to go to grassroots level. Grassroots level, and talk to our people, educate our people, share consequences with.
But how can you educate somebody who's hungry, who has no food on the table? What about his
hungry? Yes, someone that's hungry today and someone that want to be hungry for the rest of their lives. Which one is more important? So you need to be. You do not want to follow today's.
The rest of their life, they haven't seen that.
Because when you're hungry today, they give you money for today. That is for today. You're gonna spend that money today, and it'll be gone. Is that person coming to give you money tomorrow also, and every day give you your fish money? No, it's not gonna happen. So we need to think long term. We need to go back to grassroots and really. Get to that point, especially when the draft constitution is coming out. You need to use your platform. I need to use my platform. Everyone that has a platform need to use their platform in the diaspora and talk and influence our people. And also those in the country also use their platforms and use any means that they have to go back to grassroots and tell every National Assembly member, look, if you don't pass this, we are not going to vote for you anymore. You need to do this. This is why we elected you. We elected you as a National Assembly member to go represent us. This is what we want. We want you to vote for this to happen. All right. So that's the message they need to start with at grassroots. Go to the National Assembly members and talk to them. No matter how many millions they give them, when that bill comes out, vote in favor of the 2-term limit. That's what we want to see. And we want to create that transparency. At the end of that vote, we need to know any National Assembly member, even if it passed, any National Assembly member that did not vote for the 2-term limit really need to be, the people in the next election, they need to get them out. By giving their votes to somebody else to teach that person a lesson.
And then another question that you're talking about is the people always ask is so you don't want this president. What is the option?
Say that again. The what?
What are the other options?
For what?
For change. Who is out there?
Well, oh, you mean presidential candidates?
Yes.
Well, I mean, we have people in Gambia and we have people in the diaspora as well. So, and this is why I wanted that constitution to pass, because as part of that constitution also, they need to make sure that we're not banning or blocking people in the diaspora for contesting for elections, because you never know. There are very smart people out there that are smarter than you and I, or maybe I would say they're smarter than me, that are out there.
Smarter than me. But the point here is that
that can go in and run
being
this
smart
country.
Doesn't make you a good president.
What's that?
Being smart doesn't make you a good president.
No. When I say smart, we're talking presidency, right? I'm talking people that are smart enough to be president. So when I'm saying smart, it's not about being smart.
Anybody can be president.
No. Okay, so maybe I need to rephrase that. Smart, and when I say smart people, we're talking presidency. People that are smart enough, they have the intelligence, they have the experience, they have the knowledge, they have the know-how to be president. That's what I mean by those smart people out there. So there are people out there that have all these qualities. There are people out there that have
presidential material.
Yes, yeah, presidential material and presidential caliber people that have the caliber.
But that
they
doesn't
have the knowledge.
That doesn't guarantee that it could be a good president.
No. You know, experience is a great teacher. Okay, experience is actually the best teacher. People that have so much experience and want to be able to get in there, they have the, well, when you look at leadership, and especially from presidential level, you want to look for someone that has the vision for the country. His ideology will work with the vision that he has for the country. Someone that is honest, very honest person, someone that's trustworthy, and someone that has that integrity.
But you can be honest today, tomorrow you are not.
Well, then that person is not honest today. That's it. If you're honest today and tomorrow you're not an honest person. So an honest person stays honest. So we need to look for people that are that honest, that has the ideology of moving.
What about if people change you? And we are very good at
that. Well, you know what? If people change you, yes, Gambia is funded that people change you, but I look at it this way: nobody's going to change me.
What about if position change you?
Well, position is not going to change who I am.
The love of power?
It doesn't matter. Even if you're the president of the world, if you're the president of the world and you're honest, you have the integrity, you're trustworthy. I mean, you have the vision. Your ideology can guide your vision to take the country moving forward.
You don't hear this.
Anybody?
You don't hear
anybody that
you don't hear the statement that says power corrupts.
Well, I understand. Anybody that comes to corrupt you, you can stay away from that. If your mission and your vision is to really lead the country and set an example, you can stay away from that corruption, because you've got to start with the right foot from day one. That's what it is. It starts from day one. The moment you start day one, that becomes the standard operating procedure for you. And that is what you're going to go by. And that's what anyone that you hire or you employ or appoint has to follow the same thing. If they can't, guess what? They can't work for me. They have to go. So it's corruption. I mean, that's the way I look at myself. That's exactly how I look at myself. And in America,
how do you
here,
think Gambia 5 years from now in terms of corruption?
I don't see a whole lot of change on it, because what needs to change have not changed yet. So if we don't change what we're doing and we continue to do what we're doing, we're going to get the same results.
Maybe
until we change.
But are you not happy with the kind of like caliber of talent that the president is bringing on board in terms of the people that he hires now?
I like the fact that he made some changes in the cabinet. I don't know all of those people, so that's why I'm quiet about that. I don't like to talk about what I don't know. So I want to be quiet and give them time, let them show what they can do. And the whole country will see it, not just me. The whole country will see it. That is when I will talk.
What about the anti-corruption bill that was in this that was going to the National Assembly? Don't you have hope that maybe corruption will be fought? And then recently there have been some cases where some people have been really facing justice in terms of corruption. Don't you have hope that this government might really shift gears and started to be proactive on corruption?
Well, it's always good to be hopeful, and I'm very hopeful, and I hope that happens.
Especially listen to our shows like this could give them,
right. But what I am going to look at is what is happening. I'm going to look at what is happening. We're going to look at over time. Are we seeing any results? The results is very important. No matter what you do, at the end of the day, you've got to get the results that you're looking for. If you don't get the results, then that means all your effort is nothing. That anti-corruption bill can pass at the National Assembly if the president and his administration does not follow through and hold people accountable and enforce the laws. That anti-corruption bill becomes nothing. It becomes nothing. Yep. So that's where it starts. That's why I said the president is whoever is the president is the person that can control corruption in the country.
Yeah. What about the citizens? They should just fold their arms?
Citizens have a part to play. But when you take away all access of corruption from citizens, you don't leave them anything other than follow through. So at that point, it's easy to mold them. If you put policies and procedures in place, we have good laws, we have and restructure our civil service, restructure our security. All of these are part of corruption that need to be controlled. You do all of those, and then, like I said, take cash out of people's hands. All right. When you do that, you're giving citizens very little to do. And then, as part of this, the restructuring of the civil service, in my comprehensive civil service reform that I released on Facebook as well, you will see that the citizens and civil servants really will be trained well to do their job, whereby a citizen like you and I, or any ordinary person in Gambia, can walk up to the health department, or they can walk up to immigration and go apply their passport and get it today without paying a dime to anybody else.
What do you think about us being part of the corruption? Us from the diaspora and other people with some privileges. We don't like to follow the right channel. I mean, we would like to pay off. Let's say I go to immigration today. I want the passport, and I'll be in front of the line. And that's part of corruption as well. I mean, like, instead of going through the standard procedure, standard operation that you mentioned, standard operation procedure, I would go, I'll cut the cost because I have advantage. I can give money to someone who would put me in front of the line. And that's part of corruption too.
Yeah. So in my civil service reform, that is going to eliminate.
How do you combat
so that will not happen?
Yeah, how do you combat somebody like you and I? We go to the airport and we allow our cell phones and other things to be passed through because we are from the diaspora, and we can give them money to do that. That's corruption too. I'm pretty sure
we should not. Yeah, we really should not be paying any money to anybody else to get us through. We should go through the right channel to go through.
But we are doing
the people. Well, I have not done that.
Well,
so I'll put it that way. I have never done that. But people in there doing their job need to be held accountable to do their job correctly. That's why the civil service reform that I proposed, the comprehensive civil service reform,
they should be held accountable. But when nobody's watching, and this man, I would tell you that if you're thinking that
that means their leaders are not doing their job. Their leaders are not doing their job. If I am a leader in the airport, I come in, for example, if I am an immigration, I'm just giving an example. If I'm an immigration official and I'm in charge of airport, I see long lines and I see immigration officials. I'm gonna roll my hands, my sleeves, and I'm gonna tell officer so and so and so and so, you all get in here, let's get this line out now. That's what I'm gonna do. I'm not gonna let people stand in line for a long time. No, I'm gonna roll my sleeves. I will get in there. I'm gonna say, I'll help next person here. You get the next person. You get the next person. You get the next person. Let's get this line down. These are people that sat in planes for a long time, on hours. Why should they wait here for 10 minutes to get through a single line just to get their passport inspected and stamped? That doesn't happen anywhere. Let's stop it. If I am a leader, that's what I would do. That's my style.
Yeah,
that's the way it needs to be.
I think we really have exhausted this topic a little bit. I mean, corruption can never be finished, and our viewers are really passionate about this topic as well, as they have been commenting. But again, we have to revisit this and keep talking about this. Maybe what we are doing might help some people to look at the country, let their country come first. I think all this is all about put your country first. I mean, we can have our own interests, individual interests, but when it comes to national interests, let's put that ahead of our individual interests for the sake of for the sake of our country and our humanity as a whole. Because once we all started to look at ourselves, we will forget what the common bond, the common thing that we need to fight for, and that is to as a citizen to ask what you can do for your country, not to ask what your country can do for you, as Kennedy said. So at this point, the National Assembly has a stake in this. They need to make sure that they pass the bills. The president has a stake in this, and the executive, to make sure that corruption is fought by having to work with the Justice Department and other departments to make sure it's punishable. to
Yep.
deter, our folks. Those who are found guilty should be sacked and perhaps face punishment. So that way others can
Head west toward West Bloomfield Road.
Yeah. And
Chick-fil-A
another
may be
thing is
closed
that our
today.
citizens need
Oh,
to
yeah, they're close.
need not to encourage corruption, because
Absolutely.
to have an opportunity to bribe somebody
That's
just
something
for you
else.
to be another advantage is also causing the problem, because others don't have the opportunity and you are going ahead of them, and that is all part of corruption. I mean, like, I know there's a lobbying that's legal in the Western world, but that one everybody knows that, you lobby something, and you lobby a contract, or you lobby a vote something in the cabinet or wherever it is. That happens here. Maybe Gambia can have that modified system where lobbying can be possible, but corruption is a way, something that we need to at least mitigate it. Otherwise, it is draining our financial potentials and our economy. That being said, Sam, if you have any final words, I think we've been up for like an hour now, so we can wrap it up.
Yep. So yeah, we can wrap it up. I think yeah, definitely Gambia, we way behind times, and corruption is killing our economy. Corruption is killing us big time. We're taking unnecessary loans when we have the resources in our country to do and pay for all of those expenses ourselves, and we're not doing them. From every department you go to, in every ministry, there is a lot of funds that could be available. We have departments that generate revenue for our country, revenue that really should be able to really hold our economy. That should be able to allow us to pay minimum wage, move people's salary up and pay them more money, be able to put all the things in place to stop corruption, implement a lot of things, change our laws, and get our country to go in the right direction, because corruption is really killing us. It's really killing us. That's why we are where we are today. Gambia should have passed this. It's a very, very small country compared to the rest of the world. And as a result, should be a very simple country to run. Should be a very, I know it's not easy to run a country, but if you know what you're doing, Gambia should be a country that you can really handle corruption in, and be able to tap all of our resources, control all of them, take cash out of people's hands, have all of that money, stop taking loans, and build our country with our own resource. And we have the capability. We can do a lot. There is a lot. I've said quite a bit in the past years, from the top government going down all the way to the local area councils. There's so much money we can generate there. I've said this in the past, and I continue to say this. Unfortunately, but to be able to end corruption, it needs to start from the top. It really needs to start from the top. Yep.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Sam.
All right, thank you, man.
Yeah, definitely.
Thanks to the viewers. Definitely. And I'm sure a lot of people are going to watch this later on. But yeah, we all need to work together, hand in hand, and help our country and move our country to the next level. Yep.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yep. Thank you.
Okay. Take care.
Yep.